Before this hearing even begins, we're stepping into a case that's not just about probation. It's about accountability, authority, and a clash of responsibility. The defendant is on deferred adjudication for injuring an elderly person, already a serious offense. That means she avoided prison the first time. But now, she's back in court, not for a new crime, but for how she treated her probation officer. And let's be clear, when you're on probation, your probation officer is not optional. They are the gatekeeper between you and prison. One violation, one bad report, one misstep, and that deferred deal can disappear fast. So when the judge immediately confronts her for being disrespectful and using profanity toward probation, you can feel the temperature rise. This isn't just about tone, it's about mindset. Is this someone who truly understands they're under court supervision? Or someone who still believes the rules don't fully apply to them? Watch closely, because this moment reveals much more than just an argument.
Hello. Oh, so here's the thing. When someone says hello, there's usually a response back. So let me just tell you what's going on. You're being rude and disrespectful to your probation officer. You act like you're not on probation. When I say there's to be no contact, there's to be no contact. And now you're using profanity towards probation officer like you're not on probation and that this is somehow his fault. It is not. It's all your fault. You're here because you're on deferred adjudication for injuring someone who's an elderly person. That's why you're here. You're not on probation because he placed you on probation. You're not on probation because he committed a crime and you're taking the time for him. You're here because of your actions and you're acting as though none of this is your fault. This is all your fault, 100%.
I'm not acting like none of this is my fault, and I take accountability for what I've done.
No, you have not taken accountability. Did you take accountability for using profanity towards him?
No, I didn't.
And I don't know why people think that when you're in a situation where you should be using logic to find what are using your cognitive skills to decide how I'm going to proceed with this, instead you go after your probation officer. And the probation officer, let's be honest, every defense attorney will tell you a probation officer holds your life in their hands, because you know what? Let's say you're supposed to report to probation at 9 a.m. and you end up reporting at 9:05. Guess what? You have not reported at 9 a.m. A probation officer can say, hey, that's a no report. But sometimes they may take sympathy on you and say, I realize what's going on. They're here, but they don't have to do that.
Yes.
And you using profanity towards a probation officer is not helping your case at all.
Right here, the judge makes something crystal clear. Probation officers hold enormous discretion. They can document violations for even small non-compliance, being late, missing a report, failing to follow instructions. And while many officers show flexibility, they don't have to. That's the key. The judge isn't exaggerating when she says they hold your future in their hands. On deferred adjudication, one formal violation could mean the court revokes supervision and imposes the original sentence. That's potentially prison time. So using profanity toward the very person monitoring your compliance? That's not just emotional, that's risky. The real question here is, even if she felt insulted, was reacting emotionally worth jeopardizing her freedom? Would you have handled that differently?
And I understand that. And the reason why I did, and I didn't, I just said the F word because he called me a liar. And when I didn't lie to him about any situation that was going on, I sent them all the information from my legal aid lawyer. I sent them everything. He even gave me his personal number for me to contact him. When I had to go to the emergency room and had to get a blood transfusion, he even offered to take me there. He called.
This is not your blood. This is not about your blood.
I know it's not about my blood, but it's he basically, when I went to go see him, he was telling me that I lied to him, which I never lied to him about anything.
No. This starts with you wanting to go to a location where I said you are not allowed to have contact. That's where all of this came up. Then everything snowballs into something else.
Yes, ma'am. And I did exactly what you told me to. I didn't go to that location. I filed my police reports. I did everything that I could do without going to that location.
All right, so then that was it. I don't know. What do you expect him to do? Like, I like for people to just put their cards on their table. Sometimes people are like, judge, but I like everybody to have an understanding. So you go to him because you want to go to a location and retrieve items when I told you you couldn't go to that location. So we're back to the point. What did you want him to do?
I asked him, was there any assistance or any way that I could? He told me, I don't know. He told me he didn't know, he couldn't help me. So I didn't have no other choice but to call the police, make a police report. I had my daughter, she's 16 years old, to go there. When she went there, she took pictures of everything that was outside.
All right, so again, what did you want him to do? He said, hey, I don't know. There's nothing I can do for you.
When I contacted Miss Adams, she told me to ask my probationer if there's any assistance that he can help me or provide without going to that location.
And he's saying no.
And he said no. And I told him I don't have no other choice. My children is 16 and 18. They didn't have the money. They don't have money for you all. My daughter just quit her job because no one was able to take her to work. So I didn't have nobody else to help me get
So
anything.
again, I don't know how this translates into you using profanity against him. He's like, I can't help you. And honestly, it's not his job to.
Now we hit the core issue: job description versus expectation. The defendant wants help retrieving her belongings from a prohibited location. The probation officer says he can't assist. Legally, the judge is correct. A probation officer's role is supervision, not personal advocacy or property recovery. Anything outside that scope is discretionary. This is where frustration turns into escalation. Instead of accepting no, she keeps pushing, and eventually crosses into profanity. The judge's analogy about utilities is powerful because it reframes the situation. Supervision is about compliance, not life management. This moment isn't about whether the defendant was stressed, it's about whether she understood boundaries. And when someone on probation doesn't respect boundaries, courts start worrying about deeper compliance issues.
Help you get your things. Really, you know what a probation officer's job really is? And they'll correct me if I'm wrong, but their job is to make sure that you abide by your conditions. Everything else that they're doing is just extra, but that's not their job. It's not, for example, if you can't pay your utilities, it's not their job to find places for you to pay utilities. They'll do it. They'll say, here's some places that you can call. But that's not his job. And if he tells you, I can't help you with getting your things, again, we're back to the point. He says, I can't help you. So what do you want him to do? He's like, I can't help you.
And
how does that translate into using profanity against him? And then telling him, sending him an email, telling him all this is his fault and it's on his shoulders. It's not. All of this happened because of you. Guess what? You can't go to that location because you injured an elderly person. That's why it's all your fault. And there are consequences for all our actions.
It is. And I communicated with him. I told him everything. I sent every case number. I even sent him my legal aid information. I sent everything. I tried to do everything the right way before it even went out of hand.
But see, here's what you don't understand, and you're not internalizing what I'm saying. He is telling you, I can't help you with that. And you still keep going back to him. He's already told you, I can't help you with that. Giving him numbers to your legal aid, giving him numbers to this person saying, we're trying to help her get her things. He can't help you with that. His whole role is to supervise you on probation. That's it. He can't say, you know what I'm going to do? I tell you what, let me go over there and get your things for you. He can't do that. That's not his job. Now, if he offers to do that, great, but he doesn't have to. He has told you more than once, I cannot help you with that. I still don't understand how that goes and translates into you using profanity against him. His job is hard as it is. And then to have somebody come in and use profanity against them, that's an issue. And then to have you go into that location when you know you're not supposed to, that's an issue.
I never did go to the location. I didn't. I had to call the police for a different location. To make
all right, so you called the police, and then what happened?
I made the police report. I went down to the property. I also went down to 315 the headquarters to fill out all the information because the day I was arrested, everything was stolen. My car, my credit cards, everything. So I'm trying to do everything that I have to do the best way that I can, the right way.
All right, the right way is not using profanity against your probation officer. That's not the right way. The right way is not being disrespectful. And you know what? This whole thing with the injury to the elderly, where I ordered anger management, you do have an anger problem. Because when people tell you no, you can't accept that, you take it to 100. He said, I can't help you with that. And then you use profanity against him. You're calling him all sorts of names. Nobody likes to be called out there, give a name.
I didn't call him out his name. I just said it was fine. I didn't have no other choice. So I would have to figure it out.
No. We're not here because you said it was just fine. Where is the officer? If you come forward, please. All right. So you're Officer Wolf?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So let me ask you a question. Are you able to go to her former location and get her items for her? No.
No, ma'am.
That's your answer.
When Officer Wolf confirms he cannot retrieve her items or file reports for her, the legal framework becomes undeniable. The judge methodically dismantles the argument. The probation officer did not refuse help maliciously, he stated his limits. What stands out here is the shift in tone from the defendant. Once prison is mentioned, the acceptance of, "he can't help me," suddenly becomes easier to say. That contrast is what the judge is highlighting. Accountability tends to increase when consequences become real. The judge's emphasis on adult problem solving is strategic, because deferred adjudication is built on the expectation that defendants demonstrate growth. If every no becomes confrontation, that signals unresolved behavioral patterns.
No. Are you able to file a police report for her so she can get her items?
No, ma'am.
So he can't do that. So what do you want from him?
I have to do it on my own. So if there's something he can help me with, and then that's
Well, see, that's the thing. Now, when you're before me and you're looking at potentially going to prison, now you're like, oh, well, he can't help me with that. He's told you that. Be an adult, solve your own problems. This is supposed to be problem solving. That's why you're on probation, for anger management issues, because you can't problem solve. I don't know, maybe you never were taught to problem solve, but if he's telling you, no, he can't do that, that's not in his job description, then there's no need to use profanity against him. He's told you, I can't do it.
Judge, if I could
Yes.
speak for a minute. Throughout my time working with Ms. Holmes, it's been pretty apparent that she has a pattern of not taking responsibility or accountability for her behavior. This last incident just kind of made it painfully obvious how there's a deeper issue.
Mhm.
There's a heart issue. Until she can get her heart right, this pattern of behavior is going to continue for her throughout her life.
Mhm.
And she's going to continue to be a danger to herself, to the community, to her victim, everybody. She needs to get her heart right and realize that choices and actions have consequences, good and bad, intended and unintended, anticipated, unanticipated, and until she...
This is one of the most impactful moments of the hearing. When the probation officer speaks about a heart issue, he's not discussing law, he's discussing character patterns. Courts often look beyond isolated incidents and assess behavioral trends. A repeated inability to accept responsibility signals risk. The judge ordered anger management in the underlying elderly injury case, and now we're seeing why. The court's concern isn't just about disrespect, it's about impulse control and escalation. And here's the bigger picture. Probation isn't just about staying out of trouble, it's about demonstrating change. If the same patterns continue, judges begin to question whether supervision is effective. At that point, the option of prison becomes less about punishment and more about containment.
She gets her heart right and realizes that this is just going to continue.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming down.
Yes, ma'am.
So You're going to have to start using your cognitive skills and your problem solving. That's it. When somebody tells you they can't do something, then they can't do it. If somebody tells you, no, I can't take you to the grocery store today, figure it out. He is not really responsible for anything outside of his job description. If he does something outside of his job description, that's just probation officers being nice.
And I understand that, but why would you offer to try to help me when I'm asking for some type of help, and then you tell me you can't help me?
Yeah, he said no. Let me just tell you, here's a perfect example. And I've been in situations where people have told me no. And my thing is, I want you to not send me place to place. If the answer is no, just tell me no and I'll figure it out. He told you no. If I ask him right now, like for example, I had to rush here this morning because I don't like being late. And I was filling in for somebody else on another matter. And guess what? My tank is at a 4th. I don't like it being at a 4th. Now, would somebody go, excuse me, could you go and put gas in my car for me? They're going to say no. Now, what do I do with that? Do I use profanity against him? How dare you not go put gas in my car? He's just told me no. So guess what? As an adult, I got to figure it out. That's it. You got to figure it out. And your figuring it out is, let me get angry with somebody and use profanity against them. And maybe they'll then become so afraid of something and say, okay, we'll do that for you. Not his job. And I can tell you right now, if you don't start treating people with respect, one, you're not going to get anywhere, because when you disrespect people, they don't want to help you. And number two,
respect.
No, you did not. That's the thing. You're still in this clouds. Like these are not, I don't know how your relationships are outside of this world, but in this world, you need to treat people with respect, whether you respect them or not. Like right now, you can hate my guts all you want to, but you had better say your honor or judge. You understand? You better not be calling me out of my given name, and you better not be calling probation officers out of your given name. I'm sure he told you, no, I cannot help you. And when somebody says, no, I cannot help you with something, maybe you want to ask them again. You ask them again. If you ask the third time, you're begging. And he's already told you he can't help you with that. That is not his job. That is outside his job description. If he decides to help you outside of his job description, just him being nice. You need to figure it out. The same way people have children, and you figured out how to have children.
This hearing wasn't about a new crime. It was about conduct while on probation. The defendant is on deferred adjudication for injuring an elderly person, meaning she already received a significant second chance. The issue today centered on disrespect toward her probation officer and refusal to accept limits. The judge reinforced a powerful legal principle. Probation officers supervise compliance. They are not personal assistants, legal representatives, or crisis managers. When someone on supervision reacts emotionally to boundaries instead of adapting, courts view that as a red flag. Ultimately, the judge's message was simple: problem solve like an adult, accept no without escalation, and understand that every action has consequences. The broader implication? Deferred adjudication only works if accountability is real. If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.